Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
Okay, so what are the characteristics of a cult? And more importantly, is Christianity a cult? Or does it get to have the distinction of being a religion as opposed to a cult? Okay. Some of the characteristics of a cult. The group displays excessively zealous and unquestioning commitment to its leader, and, whether he is alive or dead, regards his belief system, ideology, and practices as the truth, as law. Questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished. Mind-altering practices such as meditation, chanting, speaking in tongues, denunciation sessions, and debilitating work routines are used in excess and serve to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders. The leadership dictates, sometimes in great detail, how members should think, act, and feel. For example, members must get permission to date, change jobs, marry, or leaders prescribe what type of clothes to wear, where to live, whether or not to have children, how to discipline children, and so forth. The group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status for itself, its leaders and members. For example, the leader is considered the Messiah, a special being, an avatar, or the group and the leader is on a special mission to save humanity. The group has a polarized us versus them mentality, which may cause conflict with the wider society. The leader is not accountable to any authorities, unlike, for example, teachers, military commanders, or ministers, priests, monks, and rabbis of mainstream religious denominations. The group teaches or implies that its supposedly exalted ends justify whatever means it deems necessary. This may result in members participating in behaviors or activities they would have considered reprehensible or unethical before joining the group. For example, lying to family or friends or collecting money for bogus charities. The leadership induces feelings of shame or guilt in order to influence or control members. Often this is done through peer pressure and subtle forms of persuasion. Subservience to the leader or group requires members to cut ties with family and friends and radically alter the personal goals and activities they had before joining the group. The group is preoccupied with bringing in new members. The group is preoccupied with making money. Members are expected to devote inordinate amounts of time to the group and group-related activities. Members are encouraged or required to live and or socialize only with other group members. The most loyal members, the true believers, feel there can be no life outside the context of the group. They believe there is no other way to be, and often fear reprisals to themselves or others if they leave or even consider leaving the group. Okay, so how many of these listed would I say Christianity demonstrates? I'd say number one, definitely, the group displays excessive, zealous, and unquestioning commitment to Jesus, its leader. Yep, they regard his belief system, ideology, and practices as truth, the truth as law. Questioning doubt, this is two, okay. Questioning doubt and dissent are discouraged and even punished. I'd say they punish by way of guilt tripping you. Oh, you're questioning, you're doubting, very bad. You're not close enough to Jesus. You haven't prayed enough. You're a very bad Christian. You haven't been reading your Bible enough. You haven't been going to church enough. You haven't been trusting in Jesus enough. Guilt trip, guilt trip, guilt trip. Let's put it on you because you're the reason why you have these things. There's something wrong with you. Mind-altering practices. I definitely say Christianity does that. Making you, well, they don't make you, but they encourage you to memorize Bible verses. If you're children, well, even adults too, but children even more so, the repetitive singing of songs. Yeah, I think that definitely, the fact that I'm 51 and I still have every camp song in my head word for word is definitely indication of this. Let's see. Leadership dictates, sometimes in great deal, how members should think, act, and feel. It's subtle with Christianity. I think you see that more in like Mormonism. But with Christianity, you shouldn't have sex with somebody of the same gender. In Catholicism, you shouldn't get a divorce. Women, you should be a little bit more, to the guy. The guy's the head of the household. That's the way God set it up, Some more extreme versions of Christianity, women should not teach or have authority over the man. So yeah, I'd say that Christianity has that quality. The group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status. Its leader and members are basically special. They have a special mission to save humanity. It sounds a bit like Christianity to me. Yep, definitely think so. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 5. Let's see. Oh, and 6 too. 6. The group is elitist. Oops, we said that one. No, 6. The group has a polarized us versus them mentality. Okay, so now we have 6 qualities out of 6. This is number 7, which Christianity does apply to Christianity. The leader is not accountable to any authorities. Jesus is dead, so he can't be accountable. He's not even alive. I don't think he ever lived, actually. Okay, so that kind of applies. The group teaches or implies that its supposed exalted ends justify whatever means seem necessary. This may result in members participating in behaviors or activities they would have considered reprehensible or unethical before joining the group. For example, lying to family and friends or collecting money for bogus charities. Not sure if Christianity meets that definition completely. I do think that some sects of the cult do, like obviously Westboro Baptist Church, but I think that you're looking at the more fanatical branches of Christianity that do that. So we're not going to count that. So I think we've got 7 so far, 7 out of 8. The leadership induces feelings of shame and or guilt in order to influence or control members. I'd say now we have a total of 8 out of 9 that fit Christianity. Subservience to the leader or group requires member to cut ties with family and friends. That's a gray area. I do think that I lost a lot of Christian friends when I became an atheist. I think that there is some of that. Some pressure that, you shouldn't be unequally yoked with somebody who isn't of the same belief system as you. I think there's some of that. I don't think it's, I think with what are more, I think Christianity is a more subtle kind of cult. I think that they have that quality, but it's not as obvious as it is in Mormonism or Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm going to give them we're going to give them credit as, we'll say that that doesn't apply. Just to be generous. Okay, so then that means Christianity has 8 of 10 characteristics that I've named. The group is preoccupied with bringing in new members. Okay, I'd say Christianity has that, so 9 out of 11. The group is preoccupied with making money. Let's see, I'm thinking of those massive churches, you know, and the evangelists that preach, give me money, give me money. So yeah, I'd say that, you know, I'm losing track of my numbers. I think we had 9 out of 11. Okay, so now I'm going to say Christianity gets that one too, so 10 out of 12. Members are expected to devote inordinate amounts of time to the group and group-related activities. Again, I think it depends on which Christianity you're talking about, which denomination, which sect. So, again, I'm going to give Christianity that one because it's not really obvious. So we'll say, you know, I think we're up to 12. So we're going to say 10 that Christianity has, and 3 that they do not. I'd say that they do, but it's kind of gray area. So we'll say 3 points for Christianity, 10 points for whatever that they have cult characteristics. Members are encouraged or required to live and socialize only with other group members. I don't think Christianity really does that. So that's 4 for Christianity, 4 that they are not, 4 characteristics of a cult that they don't have, 10 that they do have. The most loyal members, I'm not quite sure if I read this right the first time. The most loyal members, the true believers, feel there can be no life outside of the context of the group. They believe there is no other way to be, and often fear reprisals to themselves or others if they leave or consider leaving the group. You know, there's so many shady ones, shades of gray here. I do think a lot of Christians feel like there can be no other way. You know, so I feel like that is half true for Christianity. That, you know, Christians really feel like there's no other way to live. There's no other way. There's no other way to get to heaven. There's no other way for salvation. But at the same time with Christianity, do they fear reprisals to themselves or others if they leave the group? Well, they might lose a lot of friends. That's what happened to me. They might lose a lot of friends. They might even be disowned from their family. You know, so, okay, I think we're going to give them that one. No, we're going to count that one. So, okay, so I think there was a total of 15 and 11 qualities that Christianity has of the 15. 4 that I don't think really apply. So, gee, are they a cult? Do they meet enough qualities to be considered a cult? I think so. Another quality this list does not mention is a cult that I read. Kingdom of the Cult says that a cult is any newer faith that takes an older faith's existing doctrine or holy book and adds to it or changes it. And Christianity did that with the Old Testament, just like Mormonism did that with the New Testament. And Christians call Mormonism a cult. Yeah, and Christianity did the exact same thing. So anyway, that's my little list. I think Christianity has a lot more in common with the qualities of a cult than not in common. I call it a cult. How do you view members of a cult? Let's say the Heaven's Gate cult, whose members all killed themselves in the hopes of riding the UFO in the tail of Comet Hale-Bopp. Probably you would say that members of a cult have lost the ability to think for themselves. They abandon rational, critical thinking. Most normal people would not accept the idea of salvation in the tail of a comet. Now, consider the claims of the Bible. Walking on water, parting the Red Sea, Styx the snakes, Jonah and the whale, Noah and the ark, etc. Do people accept these things without question or critical thinking? They most certainly do. You would probably say that they do not have any thoughts that are different from their leadership. Now, do most Christians hold wildly different viewpoints from their leaders? No. You would also say that they do not question what their leaders say and are willing to do anything they are told to do for salvation, including the killing of others or themselves. Most Christians would not question what their minister or priest told them, and they would do anything to secure their salvation if they were told to do it by their leaders. You would say that they deeply and sincerely believe that they have found the truth, and that they are strongly defensive when they are confronted on areas of their beliefs. This statement applies exactly to all Christians. Also, you know that people who are in cults always deny that they are in a cult. The indoctrinational practices of Christianity are indistinguishable from any other cult. How can I qualify this statement? According to the Grolier Encyclopedia, brainwashing involves two aspects: the confession of past crimes or errors, and re-education to new beliefs. Victims of brainwashing are brought to confess by isolation from familiar surroundings and a routine requiring absolute obedience and humility, and social pressure from other victims with whom they are in contact. The last includes mutual criticism and self-criticism sessions, which play particularly on the generalized guilt feelings that all people have to some extent. At the same time, regular indoctrination sessions are conducted. The acceptance of the new ideas are fostered by group pressure and the anticipated reward of freedom. These are the methods of Christianity. More from Grolier Encyclopedia. Improved understanding of psychology and neuropsychology and physiology have enabled modern totalitarian regimes to create extremely effective brainwashing programs. Some of their techniques, however, have been used for centuries. The Inquisition, for example, elicited confessions from alleged heretics by similar methods. In the context of religion, some scholars have noted a parallel between brainwashing for political purposes and the techniques used by some religious groups to generate religious excitement and conversion. Again, Christianity. The parallel is observable in religions that use physical means such as scourging, singing, rhythmic movement, dancing, and drumming to induce a trance-like state in which the individual is open to conversion. It is also apparent in the mind control practices of some of the modern religions prevalent in the United States and elsewhere, most notably the People's Temple group of Guyana, Guyana, whose 900-person membership committed mass suicide in 1978. What happens to individuals who have been psychologically abused and morally betrayed by fundamentalist cult-like churches? How can they recover from the damage done? Physically leaving a church is relatively easy, but the emotional and psychological departure can take months or even years. This is why it is hard to understand how any person can stay under a state of religious influence, much the same way that people fail to see how battered women stay with their abusers. Such dysfunctional and destructive cults of religion, whether Hare Krishnas, Munis, Branch Davidians, Heaven's Gate, or fundamental Christians, often use manipulation, fear, and deception to maintain a hold on members. They also shower their prey with unbelievable amounts of affection and approval for staying in the group and meeting their expectations. Love bombing. The religious cults discourage members from receiving information from the outside. Thus, it becomes a sin to read any worldly publications or spiritual pornography. Cults establish their own distinction between right and wrong, good and evil, Everything in the group is positive, godly, and doubts and serious questions are not tolerated. The authority of the group's leadership is virtually absolute. All problems are oversimplified and deflected either away from the group or back towards the individual. This is a methodology that is called conflict isolation. It is no wonder, therefore, that the religiously abused frequently suffer from emotional and psychological problems. It is high time that our society recognizes and deals with religious abuse as a social psychological disorder in itself. Generally, a person who breaks involvement with a controlling religious group will encounter the following problems: depression, the product of group-induced self-doubt and self-blame, isolation and loneliness, the shock of crossing the barrier from one social environment to another, impairment of decision-making and other intellectual skills. I wonder if having trouble pronouncing big words fits into that, because it says other intellectual skills. Floating. Occasional lapses into the group's imposed mindset, often triggered by certain stimuli. I do this. Music, symbols, key phrases, or words. I wondered why. I can listen to some songs and I will just literally get transported. Difficulty in talking about group involvement. Other related to strong feelings of guilt, fear, and bitterness. Interpersonal difficulties, communication, expression, making new friends, organized activities, dating, emotional and physical intimacy, etc. Recent escapees are strongly mistrustful and suspicious of other people and groups. So how does one recover from the Jesus cult or any other cult? How does a person heal the wounds of religious abuse? Hopefully with a caring and understanding new social setting. This can be family, a support or therapy group, or an organized community such as a secular club or humanist society. It should also be done with patience and the consideration that recovery will take time and effort. The following are some ideas for people who have walked away from religious abuse and who are on the road to reclaiming their lives. Work toward trusting yourself and relying on your own abilities. Put your experience down in writing. This will help you to evaluate, understand, and cope with your past involvement in the abusive group. Get in touch with other people who have gone through similar experiences, either one-on-one or in a support group. Then again, if you get too many atheists together in one place, you're going to call it a religion. Find a hobby or pastime to reinforce a positive sense of accomplishment. When floating occurs, firmly remind yourself that the episode was triggered by some stimuli. Remember also that it will pass. Identifying the trigger, learning to make a new association, and repeat the new association until it overrides the old one. Talking it over with someone who understands can really help too. Handle decisions, tasks, and relearning of interpersonal skills one step at a time. Don't rush yourself, talk and think things over, and don't be afraid if you make mistakes. We all do. Be more willing to help people as you go along. This builds up self-esteem and exercises your problem-solving skills. Take a breather from organized religion for about 3 to 9 months at least. Deal with your questions about religion, ethics, and philosophy in an honest and challenging manner. Remember, you are no longer a victim, but a survivor.